Hey, what's going on? It's your boy Stavell. This is my channel, Comics with Stavell, and today we're going to be talking about building your perfect collection. Welcome back, and today we're going to be opening up this book right here. This book actually came in the mail yesterday, actually. We're going to be opening it up today, and this is a key Amazing Spider-Man book. I've been collecting a lot of ASM books, trying to complete my run of number 1 through probably like 300 is where I'll probably quit at. But this is going to be another key. I'm starting with the big boy books. I have a lot of the filler issues already, but we're going to get into this. But it gave me an idea about building your perfect collection, or what does your perfect collection look like to you, to record this video. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this up, and then we're gonna talk a little bit about, or I'm gonna talk a little bit about, building your perfect collection. While I open this up, if you like what I do here on YouTube, go ahead and drop a like and subscribe down below. It'd be greatly appreciated. Everyone helps. But like I was saying, I just had this idea about building a perfect collection. And like, I've been collecting comics for like 20 years, maybe longer, probably like 30 years more so, since the 90s, since like, I think I got my first comics in like 92, 93. I had some Iron Man books back then, some Captain America, some Spider-Man, not the good Spider-Man, probably like Web of Spider-Man. I remember having a run of that me and my brother, my dad had got us some Web of Spider-Man comics, and he gave a couple to my brother, a couple to me. Bust this out of here real quick. But yeah, so I've been collecting since the 90s, and I've accumulated since the 90s probably like 1,500 comics. But that wasn't my perfect collection. That was a bunch of like random comics, like books I would pick up at yard sales, or buy randomly. And then I had, before you know it, boxes and boxes of comics. It wasn't my perfect collection, it was a collection. But then I started thinking recently, probably like last year, I was like, well, I want to like kind of not have so many books in my collection, not have 1,500 comics. What I want to have is maybe like 50 comics that are all like great high value books, keys, things of that nature. So I had started like trying to build my perfect collection. And I watch a lot of other YouTube comic book dudes. We Love Comics. He always talks about low grade is better than no grade. So that was a mindset I didn't have at the time. And I was like, I don't want a low grade book. I would have never bought like the ASM 14 I got, the first Green Goblin. I would have never bought that like 3 years ago, because my mind state was I need all high grade books. So I would just save, never buy it. Something else would come along and I would buy something else. But after like watching his channel and kind of his philosophies, I kind of took to more, owning the book is better than not owning the book. So I like, even a low grade book, at least I own it and I could always upgrade from there. So just taking from a lot of different creators, I've changed my philosophies, and actually it's helped me to get a lot more keys. This one right here though, we're going to get into, this is a 90s, or actually 80s Spider-Man key. It is a signed Spider-Man key. I'm just checking it out. It's a beautiful cover. Got like 3 or 4 spine ticks. So this right here is Amazing Spider-Man number 300. Now this is the first appearance of Venom. It's an iconic cover. This cover has been homaged like a million times by everybody, from Todd McFarlane himself. Speaking of Todd McFarlane, this book is also got a signature signed by Todd McFarlane. It's on the first page, so you can't see it here. It's a CBCS 8.5. And this book I've owned before. I owned an 8.0 CGC. I actually ended up trading that book to a guy, that along with like a bunch of other Spider-Man keys that I owned before. I ended up trading it for some X-Men keys. I got like X-Men number 4, like first appearance of Scarlet Witch, and then a few other things I traded along the way, but this one is the only one I own now. But along those lines of like building the perfect collection, that goes into something another comic book creator I watch had said, or that I got the idea from, Reggie Collects. who, I mean, I don't know if I've ever said this on my channel. The reason I started this channel was because of Reggie Collects. I had reached out to him on Instagram a few years back, and I had a bunch of books. I was buying books all the time, like I still do. And I was like, I'd rather just, I wanted to do a YouTube channel, and I asked him for some pointers, and he actually got back to me, real nice dude. He just told me, just go for it, bro. He says, find out why you're doing it, what you want to do, what do you bring to the table. He asked me a bunch of questions like that, and I was like, well, I just want to open books and talk about comics and be a part of the community. And he's like, well, bro, I say go for it. Start your channel. And on that advice, I uploaded my first video. So shout out to Reggie Collects. And honestly, if anybody knows, Reggie hasn't posted in like 5-6 months. Anybody knows what's going on with Reggie? Or Reggie, if you see this video, hey man, what's going on? I hope all is well with you and the fam. Hope there's no issues. But I really enjoy your content, man. And if you want to post something else, man, we'd all be glad to have you, man. But yeah, so like just taken from a lot of different comic book creators, like how do you build the perfect collection? Reggie did a series on his channel where he was trying to get a Hulk #1, I believe it. Yeah, it was a Hulk #1, I believe. And he was talking about, kind of cutting down his collection, selling a bunch of bulk stuff, and then putting that all into getting his Hulk #1. And I kind of took that approach with getting all my Spider-Man keys. I've been selling a lot of my bulk books on eBay and different places. I go to swap meets and flea markets and stuff like that, and I'll take books, or I'll go to the local comic shops and I'll be like, hey, you want to buy this run of Long Shot or whatever I have? And I just accumulate the cash. That's how I was able to get my X-Men #1 last month. Just selling a bunch of books, going to comic shops, and kind of like trying to build that perfect collection. So I guess step #1 is making an idea or a list of what you want in your perfect collection. My perfect collection, it's all going to be ASM keys and X-Men keys. ASM is #1 on my list, X-Men's #2. So I probably want to put a run of X-Men from like #1 to like 300. And then I want to probably get a run of ASM from Amazing Fantasy 15 to Amazing Spider-Man 1 to about Amazing Spider-Man 300. That's my goals. That would be a perfect collection for me. I don't need anything else. I mean, obviously, I'll sprinkle in some Fantastic Four because I'm working on a Fantastic Four run. I have a lot of the lower issues. Obviously, I don't have #1 through like 10, but I have like 11, first Super Skrull 18, 19, first Miracle Man like #20 or Molecule Man. So I have a bunch of those, like first Kree Sentry, first Black Panther, Silver Surfer, Galactus. I have all those books in my collection. But so that's like a third, not so important run to me, but I'm working on it slowly. Like if I see a key Fantastic Four book, I'll pick it up. If I can get a great deal on a #1, I'd obviously pick that up. But so yeah. So first off, finding out what your perfect collection is. Then, if you have anything to trade, sell, I would say get rid of all the fluff in your collection. If you want to just focus on one thing, take all that money, consolidate it into bigger keys. Another big thing for me, trades, like I was mentioning. Instagram, that's a great source. I follow a lot of comic book pages on Instagram, and I always reach out to them if they have a book I want to offer trades. I have a bunch of keys. Like I said, like right now I probably have about 1,100. I had like 1,500 comics, but I've been selling a lot on eBay. Just trying to buy more keys. I have probably about 1,100 comics. A lot of them are keys. So I always reach out to people. I'll send out, hey man, you have this book I want. Would you take this, this, and this, and this? Sometimes they say no. Sometimes they don't even get back to you. Sometimes they'll be like, yeah, let's get the trade. Let's make it happen. And then so you could get books that way by trades. You could also do that at flea markets. I've been at flea markets where I take comics. I always put a box of comics, like my most like sought after books that I have. If they're like grails that are like, or keys that are like the flavor of the week hot keys that everybody's looking for, or spec books, if I have them, then I'll take them. Like I remember a while back, the Venom 3 Null third print was popping like 2 years ago, and I had a bunch of copies. So I just took it out there to the flea market. I had a little short box I always take in my trunk. I see people selling comics. Hey man, what do you got over here? You want to make a trade? I got this Venom third print, a #3, first print's a Null. Sometimes you're able to make a deal, sometimes not, but more times than not, you make friends. And I've met a bunch of people doing it that way. So you could do trades, get on Instagram, reach out to people, consolidate your collection, sell off the fluff, save up for that #1 key that you're looking for. Also, Another thing is reach out to the community. A lot of these comic book creators online I've reached out to, they usually get back to you. Like I messaged Bryce Comics. This was probably like 2 years ago, and this is how I figured out he was doing the Bry box. I didn't even know nothing about it. I followed him on Instagram. I'd watch his YouTube videos, but I didn't like get alerts or anything. So I reached out to him. He had a Giant Size X-Men #1 he had put on his Instagram. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, Bry, how much would you sell that Giant Size X-Men for? He told me he was going to sell it in like a Whatnot stream or something. He's like, hey, I'm going to be selling that on Whatnot. But he got back to me. I watched the Whatnot stream. I didn't get the book. But you know what I mean? At least like these comic book creators are willing to reach out. And then I actually subscribed to his Bry box, and you know, I got some cool comics out of that. I bought like 2 or 3 of those. Didn't win the grand prize, but I got some cool books. And you know, he's a cool guy. I love his channel. A lot of channels that you watch will always be, you know, teach you about comic books. If you don't know anything about comic books and you want to get into collecting, a lot of the comic book channels I watch, like I mentioned, Reggie Collects, Comic Book Investments is another one. They always do like books that are trending up. Dave does like books trending up and down. Very Gary, watch his channel all the time. I just watched a video about him, why he left some Terrificon early, got sick. Very Gary, We Love Comics, Jim Mintz, one of my favorites. I've been watching Jim Mint for a long time, like before he got with Comic Tom, and now after he's done doing videos with Comic Tom. I love his content. Him and his wife do videos like live streams in the morning. But basically, what you want to do in this comic, if you want to build the perfect collection, is make the hobby fund itself, and that's where it comes into trades, building friends in the community. Check out these YouTube channels. They'll teach you a bunch of like tips and tricks. I'm not there yet. You know, I'm a new YouTuber. I've only been doing this like a year and a half now. But I do watch a lot of other people's stuff, so I learn a lot of tips and tricks from these guys. And, you know, when I'm out collecting or I'm at a con or whatever, or a yard sale, I go to a bunch of estate sales. I actually found a box of comics that's another thing. Go to an estate sale. If you're trying to build a good collection, you'll always find, like, well, not always, like maybe like 1 out of every 5 I go to, I'll find comics. But when I do, it's always like big home runs. Like, I found a box of X-Men comics at an estate sale. Literally, there was probably like 8 copies of like X-Men #4, the first Omega Red from the 90s. There was like 2 copies of the first Jubilee. First Gambit was in there, first Forge, a bunch of minor keys, but I sent them all to CGC. And out of those Omega Red comics, like, all of them but one came back a 9.8, and I was able to sell all those and consolidate that into another book. But I feel like I'm rambling right now. I'm just talking on my love of comics and the comic book community. And, you know, I love getting new books. Again, like you didn't see it at the beginning of the video, got this book. This was a product of consolidating and selling some other comics I had. Was able to add this first Venom to the collection. But yeah, this has been my video for today. You know, I love talking about comics. If you love talking about comics, like and subscribe my channel. Check out some of the channels I mentioned today. They're all great comic book creators. You guys all have a blessed day, and I'm out. Peace.